Welcome to our webinar on the new Stimulating Peripheral Activity to Relieve Conditions, or SPARC, funding opportunity, RFA RM21024, titled SPARC Human Open Research Neural Engineering Technologies, or HORNET, initiative, which uses the Biotechnology Resource Cooperative Agreements funding mechanism. My name is Brooks Gross. Eric Hudak and I are program directors at NINDS and co-leads for the SPARC HORNET initiative. Today, we are going to provide an overview of this new funding opportunity. At the end of our presentation, we will have time to answer any questions.
You can contact the SPARC program team by email at sparc-o@od.nih.gov.
First, we would like to take a moment to thank everyone on the team for the tremendous effort in successfully launching the SPARC HORNET initiative.
The SPARC-O HORNET team includes staff from the NIH, Jean Civilico, the SPARC program manager, Tyler Best, Christina Falk, Brooks Gross, Eric Hudak, Wendy Nosp, Nick Langles, Roger Miller, Caitlin Malora, Felicia Kashu, Sid Chenoy, and Michael Wolfson.
Rooted in the NIH roadmap from 2004, the Common Fund was formally established by Congress in 2006 to enable goal-driven trans-NIH research with dedicated funding. Common Fund program budgets are separate from the budgets of the NIH institutes and centers. To be supported by the Common Fund, programs must have the potential to dramatically affect biomedical and/or behavioral research, be catalytic by having a defined impact within 5 to 10 years, be synergistic with the individual missions of the institutes and centers, cut across missions of multiple institutes and centers, and be something that no other entity is able to do on their own. The Common Fund SPARC program seeks to accelerate the development of therapeutic devices that precisely modulate electrical activity in nerves to improve organ function. To find out more about the program's progress and its future directions, you can visit the SPARC website at the link on the screen.
The SPARC web address is commonfund.nih.gov/SPARC.
And also check out the SPARC portal at sparc.science. The motivation for the SPARC HORNET initiative is that clinical translation of neurotechnologies requires the availability of clinical-grade neuromodulation platforms, which are costly to develop from the ground up and can be difficult to access for exploratory use from large medical device companies. The SPARC HORNET initiative seeks to create an open source technology ecosystem in order to accelerate the development of therapeutic approaches that modulate electrical activity in peripheral nerves to improve organ function. Its mission is to develop interoperable technology modules and full neuromodulation systems to lower regulatory hurdles in order to better facilitate translation of new therapies to humans. The goal of the HORNET initiative is to advance the clinical translation of neuromodulation therapies in humans by supporting the development of this open source ecosystem. The HORNET initiative will provide support to sufficiently develop open source neuromodulation libraries that include multiple templates that describe combinations of individual technology modules necessary to construct complete, fully functional neuromodulation systems. Through this funding opportunity, SPARC will fund HORNET Centers, which will be responsible for assembling the necessary resources to develop open source, modular neuromodulation systems for use in human clinical research. A HORNET Center is composed of 3 parts: an administrative core, nested elements for SPARC technologies or NEST projects, and a technology integration and dissemination or TID core. The administrative core is responsible for managing the HORNET Center, coordinating and overseeing the NEST projects, monitoring integration and dissemination activities in the TID core, overseeing the bridges between the NEST projects and the TID core, coordinating the development of regulatory templates, and co-organizing HORNET consortium meetings with the other HORNET centers. The administrative core may also appoint external representatives to advise on system concepts, designs, and integration and dissemination plans. There are 3 to 5 nested elements for SPARC technologies, or NEST projects, within a HORNET Center. The collection of NEST projects within a center should represent a variety of technological areas, for example, hardware, firmware, and software, necessary to develop a fully functional neuromodulation system. Each NEST project should be at the cutting edge of their technological field. A NEST project will design and develop one or more open source modular neuromodulation technologies and will work with the TID core to ensure integration and interoperability of modules in order to validate the integrated nests in benchtop, computational, and/or animal models for future use in neuromodulation applications. The Technology Integration and Dissemination, or TID core, should fully integrate modules from the NEST projects towards a functional neuromodulation system. It will coordinate with other HORNET centers in support of integration and interoperability of modules. The TID core disseminates the center's neuromodulation system templates to the research community. The dissemination plans should be geared toward researchers and end users at various levels of clinical and technical expertise. It will also establish and facilitate a user community for technology dissemination and collaborations both during and after the end of the award. While not required, the TID core may establish partnerships with industry when appropriate. The biannual HORNET Grantee meeting is another activity in which centers will participate. Each year, there will be one in-person and one virtual meeting. Each center will be responsible for organizing one of each. One objective of these meetings is to facilitate collaboration across HORNET centers. Another is to allow the NIH and NIH-appointed HORNET steering committee members to evaluate progress towards each center's goals and milestones.
By the end of the 3-year project period, awardees are expected to complete the following activities: to develop, test, validate, and integrate modules in support of an open neuromodulation ecosystem, to publish open neuromodulation libraries in the SPARC Data and Resource Center or another NIH-approved location, and to build collaborations with partners planning to incorporate HORNET technologies into their medical devices. Several activities are not supported by this funding opportunity announcement. Applications that include these activities will be considered non-responsive, will be withdrawn, and will not be reviewed. These include development of new animal models, development of new proprietary technologies, development of modules intended only for animal use, development of technologies for augmentation of healthy individuals, development of technologies that lack any potential use as elements of a neuromodulation system acting in the peripheral nervous system or spinal cord to modulate electrical activity to improve organ function, and clinical evaluation of safety and effectiveness. A letter of intent is not required but is appreciated. Letters should be submitted by December 13th, 2021 via email to spark-o@od.nih.gov. In the letter, please include a descriptive title of the proposed activity, names, addresses, and telephone numbers of the PDPIs, names of other key personnel, the participating institutions, and the number and title of this funding announcement. This is a multi-component application consisting of the following required components: overall, administrative core, NEST projects, and technology integration and dissemination core. As you can see in this table, each component is limited to a 6-page research strategy. Note that the minimum number of NEST projects is 3 and the maximum is 5. And each individual NEST project is limited to 6 pages. The required information for each component is described in the funding announcement under Section 4, Application and Submission Information. Please read these instructions carefully and reach out to the HORNET team with any questions. There are several application requirements in this funding opportunity, such as timelines for module development and release, a milestone plan, a data sharing plan, and a sustainability plan. Please review the application instructions carefully to determine where to include the required information.
Look out for the words required and must throughout the FOA. Applications must include all required registrations, for example, DUNS, SAM, etc., and all required cores and projects.
Regarding effort, the principal investigator must devote at least 3 person months to the entire center, within which 1.2 person months must be devoted to the administrative component. For applications with more than one principal investigator, each PI must devote a minimum of 3 person months to the entire center, and the combined effort of all the MPIs must be at least 1.2 person months to the administrative core.
All modules must be open source. The sustainability plan will be part of the administrative core component.
This funding announcement is designated as clinical trial not allowed, meaning that NIH-defined clinical trials are not permitted to be part of your application. However, certain human subject studies may be allowable. If you do answer yes to the human subjects question in the application, there must be at least one human subject study record.
Study record form is called PHS Human Subjects and Clinical Trials Information Form.
The study record must be included in the component where the work is being done, unless the same study spans multiple components. To avoid creating duplicate study records, a single study record with sufficient information for all involved components must be included in the overall component when the same study spans multiple components. Information on how applications will be reviewed can be found under Section 5 of the Funding Opportunity Announcement.
Section 5 is titled Application Review Information.
Panelists will be evaluating all cores and projects to provide an overall impact score. Please review the additional items listed by component. These review criteria are what the review panel will be judging your project on, so consider these carefully when composing your application. The terms and conditions of the award are described in Section 6 of the funding opportunity.
Section 6 is titled Award Administration Information.
Please note that the award is a milestone-driven cooperative agreement, which means there will be greater involvement from NIH program staff compared to a traditional grant. The final milestone plan will be negotiated and agreed to before an award can be made. During the award period, NIH program staff will periodically assess progress toward achieving the milestones. Applications are due by January 12, 2022. Please note that this is the only receipt date for this funding announcement.
Letters of intent are due December 13th, 2021.
Applications will be reviewed in March of 2022 by a scientific review group convened by the NIH Center for Scientific Review. The Advisory Council review will take place in May of 2022, and the earliest notices of award are estimated to be released in August 2022 for projects lasting 3 years. This concludes our overview of the funding opportunity for SPARC HORNET Centers. We would like to end the presentation by strongly encouraging you to reach out to us before applying. We can be reached at spark-o@od.nih.gov.
Applications are due January 12th, 2022. The funding announcement can be found online at grants.nih.gov/grants/RFA-files/RFA-RM-21-024.html.